Hey Tumblr family, Tracy here with Trey-Magnifique Boutique. Welcome back to my studio. So fall is upon us. It truly is one of my favorite times of year. So in the spirit of everything, I've made this beautiful buffalo plaid tumbler featuring my boy, and I've had lots of questions on this one, so it is my honor and pleasure to bring this tutorial to you. I'm so excited about this one. Let's get started. This is a 30-ounce skinny straight tumbler from Craft Haven, and I'm going to show y'all how I do my buffalo plaid, and I'm going to let my OCD show here. If y'all are anything like me, when I'm working with patterns, I like everything to be as nice and neat and even as possible. So in measuring the circumference of this cup, I found that it was 10 inches all the way around, which was perfect because the painter's tape that I'm going to be using to make this plaid is 1 inch in width. So all I had to do was make a little tick mark at like the 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 inch marks, and then line my stripes up accordingly. I didn't have to play the game of wrapping the entire tumbler in tape and then trying to remove every other one, and then trying to finagle the last one to make it look even. This method makes it even because you've measured it out and then you don't have to waste, extra tape. Once all my stripes were on there, I do take my measuring tape and just double check one time around the bottom that everything is lined up straight vertically, that I didn't have any of my stripes on slightly slanted. The horizontal stripes I am going to do a little bit differently, just because the height of the cup did not come out to a nice even number like the circumference of the cup. So I was honestly just trying to think about a way that I could do this and still make it nice and even without having to figure out the math down to the exact millimeter, or without having to waste a ton of tape, again, by like wrapping the entire cup like I had made mention earlier and then taking off every other stripe. So what I have found is if I go ahead and put my first 2 stripes, around the top and the bottom of the cup, I can go ahead and go to the stripe directly in the center, so split that evenly. And then I'll take my measuring tape, and make sure that that center stripe is just an even distance, from the top and bottom stripe. And, obviously you see I adjust it here a little bit, but once I'm happy with that, I'm basically just going to repeat the pattern, for that upper area. I'll find the even distance between that top stripe and that middle stripe, and then the same thing on the bottom, find an even distance between that middle and bottom stripe. Once everything is taped up, I'm going to use Mod Podge to start applying glitter to the white open square areas. The color palette that I chose was meant to match the scarf that my horse is wearing, as that's the main image focus of the cup, but we'll get to that part here in a little bit. So I chose obviously fall-like colors like a dark brown, a medium brown, and even almost like a light peachy type color. So I'm starting off with the darker color first, and I'm only going to show you guys the first couple of rows of each of these colors. I try to keep my tutorials 30 minutes or less, so with this being a repeating pattern, obviously I'm sure you guys get the gist. Hey, continue with the same color all the way around the cup until it's completely covered. Once all the white squares are filled in with the dark chocolate color, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the horizontal tape, and then move on to my intermediate brown color, which is Footloose by PDB Glitters. They're probably my favorite glitter vendor right now, so I utilize a lot of their color. So once again, I'm just going to take the Mod Podge and carefully put it in all of the white open square areas, and then just fill it in with Footloose. Once all of those squares are filled in, I'm going to remove all of the vertical pieces of tape. I'm still going to continue using that footloose color, but I'm only going to fill in areas in between that dark chocolate color again. For this, a flat 1-inch squared paintbrush is going to be your best friend to keep things looking nice, straight, and even. And for whatever reason, I didn't film it, but I did just want to add that I opted to go ahead and cover the bottom of the cup with that footloose color as well. And last but not least, I'm going to fill in the rest of the white squares with my lightest color, which is a light peachy color. Once the entire cup is covered, I will spray seal it with the Krylon Triple Thick Clear Glaze. And once that has dried, I will go in and add 1 to 2 layers of epoxy until the cup is completely smooth. I want to add some fun pinstriping on the cup, and so again, just trying to keep everything nice and straight as possible. I'm going to utilize the help of this cup edging tool that I bought off of Amazon because it's got an adjustable pen holder that will allow me to make a straight line around the cup and be able to have that as a guideline to lay my vinyl. I can try to eyeball it, and although I get pretty darn close, inevitably there's a spot that dips or waves and it drives me crazy. I personally just can't handle it, so I'm not above using tools to help me get the job done the way that I want it done. So I'm just going to continue adjusting the height of my pen. I'm choosing to go across the middles of my lighter color glitter. I mean, you can do it over, whichever color you want. Again, this is my personal preference. And I'm just going to use the tool to make sure that I've got a nice straight line as a guideline. I'll lay the vinyl, and then if there's any residual marker spots showing, I'll just use a paper towel and just a little bit of alcohol if need be, and wipe it off. And then I also make sure as I'm laying my vinyl that my starting and stopping areas are the same as well. So wherever I start the stripe above, I want to try to start the stripe below it in the same spot. I like to do a double layer of pen striping. I feel like it just gives it some added dimension and pop. So I obviously have the red stripes that I've already just laid down, and then I'm opted to use almost like a metallic rose gold color. And so I think the red stripes are at a 0.25 in width, and then the gold is a 0.125. And because I took the time to make sure that my red stripes are nice and straight all the way around, I can go in and lay the rose gold right in the middle of those and know that those are going to be even and straight all the way around as well. And then again, just kind of keeping with my my lovely little OCD theme, wherever the red stripes started and end, I try to start the rose gold, so all of my starts and stops are in the same exact spot. Once all the horizontal striping is on and I'm happy with those, now I'm going to go back and add all of my vertical striping. I feel like these are a little bit easier to get straight because obviously I can see the entire side of the cup that I'm working on. You know, I'm not having to worry about going around the bend and curve of the cup. And so I'm going to start with my whiter red based stripes first, and I'm going to go across the centers of my lightest color vinyl just like I did with the horizontal. And once I get all of the red stripes on there, then I'm just going to go back with the rose gold and go right down the center of the red stripes as well. After getting all of my vertical striping done, I still felt that it needed a little something extra. So I have a whole bunch of nail tape that I bought off of Amazon and decided just to grab the red color out and then just add a thin strip to both sides of each of my vertical stripes all the way around. Once my striping was officially done and I was happy with it, I did take a craft knife and remove any of the excess vinyl from around the rim and bottom of the cup, and then did go ahead and place another layer of epoxy over it. I wanted an area to place my image that would pop against the buffalo plaid, so I created this custom shape in my Silhouette studio, and I will show you guys here in a minute how I did it. It's essentially just a circle and a rectangle that I welded together. But anyways, so not only did I want this to obviously sit center in my cup, so essentially I knew it needed to sit between the second and fourth horizontal striping. I needed the long white stripe area to be even as well, so that way as it wrapped around the cup it lined up perfectly with the other side. So I was able to hold it on there and visualize, yes, this is where I need it to go. And so then I just grabbed some painter's tape and anchored it on there so that way it wouldn't shift and moved, and used the hinge method to get it started to put it on here. Okay, so here's how to make this image. Super simple. I just opened up Design Studio, and on the left hand side I'm going to hit the drawing tools tab, hit the oval, and then just get a shape on the screen. I'm not going to worry about how it looks here because I will personally go up and adjust the height and width, which for this particular project for the circle was 4.1 by 4.1, and that'll set it as a perfect circle. And then I'll just move that off to the side, and then I'm going to go back over to the drawing tools tab, hit the rectangle, just put a little shape on the screen. Again, not worrying about the size because I will go and adjust it. I knew the circumference of the cup was 10 inches, so I'm just going to set it a little bit bigger at 10.7, and then for the height I did at 1.3, slightly bigger than the 1-inch squares that I used for the buffalo plaid. So then I just select both shapes, and now I'm going to align it up vertically so everything is centered, and then I will do a right justify, and then again with both shapes selected, I'm just going to right click and I'm going to hit weld, and it'll get rid of anything, all the lines in the center, and so now it will cut just the outline of this shape. And because I can never just leave anything plain and simple, I decided to go back and make an outline or offset, whichever you want to call it, for that custom shape that I showed you how to make in Silhouette Studio. So I apologize, I don't have the best angle initially to show you guys on applying it. I needed to be able to see what I was doing as well, but I just picked a corner. I always feel like corners are easier to, you know, line everything up and make sure that it's even, and then I just ran the upper part of that circle all the way around, and then went back and laid the striping around the back as well, and then just trimmed off any of the excess. So again, I did that around the top and bottom of this custom shape that I made, and then decided to go back and do it again in the rose gold. Here's the image that I chose for this cup. That is my actual horse that I added all of those elements to. I will try to do a tutorial on how to make custom images such as this. I just didn't have time to for this go around. So I printed the image off using a clear water slide decal paper, and then I cut it out, soaked it in water for about 30 seconds or so, just long enough to be able to remove that paper backing, and then applied the image to the cup. I'm gonna sit here and mess with it for just a second, making sure that I have the image sitting exactly where I want it, nice and centered, nice and straight, and that there's no wrinkles or creases in the paper. And then I'm gonna grab my silicone brush and very gently go over the image as well, pushing out any air bubbles or any excess water out from back behind the image, as all of that will show under epoxy. And then I will switch to a paper towel and very gently go over the image as well, again making sure there's no creases, there's no wrinkles, there's no excess water. Obviously the paper towel will absorb any of the excess water or air bubbles. So I printed my image using my laser printer, so I did not need to seal this image after printing it, but if you use an inkjet printer, you will need to spray your image with a clear sealant to make sure that it doesn't run. So here's the cup and its final layer of epoxy. It took me a little bit to come up with a phrase that I wanted to put across the back, but a friend actually came up with "trottin' into fall," and I absolutely loved it. But I wanted you guys to be able to see what the final cup looked like. So I enjoyed showing y'all how I made this. I hope y'all had fun in seeing how I made this. If you have any questions, like I didn't make something clear, please feel free to ask. I love you, Tumblr family. I'll catch you next time.